US trade talks from the email account of a former cabinet minister. Bill Clinton says John Hume's sense of honour helps seal a brighter future for the children of Northern Ireland. And TikTok confirms it's considering moving its headquarters outside Wales, possibly to London. Wind showers dying out tonight for most of England. More rain for Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland. And a low of 6 degrees.
LBC Travel, I'm Dave Goff on the M25 compromise. A man's broken down in the roadworks between Clapham Lane Services and Junction 6 for On the M4 into town, a car's broken down at junction 5 for Langley, so the lane is closed. There were queues on the A12 southbound from the Bow interchange to the Blackwall Tunnel after an accident earlier on. In Forest Hill, it's still on the South Circular Road in both directions because of emergency repairs between Sydenham Bow and the Park. And all the trees will be
This is LBC.
Stop. Wait. Who says we have to go back to normal? What if we choose to be open and say, what if I just smile a bit, travel less and love every mile of it? What if my dreams never take the back seat again? What if I'm there whenever you need a friend? You see, I'll never forget how much strong we are together. I'll carry that in my heart forever. We'll weather the storm, so I'll be open like never before.
Coca-Cola. Open like never before.
This is LBC.
As we welcome you back on board Southeastern trains, we want you to know about the extra steps we've taken to make your journey safer, like boosting cleanliness, with frequent antiviral deep cleaning and hand sanitizer at busy stations. We're running longer trains to make extra room and more staff are available to help you. Help to stay safe by keeping your distance where possible, travelling at quieter times, wearing a face covering unless you are exempt, and washing your hands before and after travel. Travel safe. Check before you travel at southeasternrailway.co.uk.
I've been a nurse for 12 years now. They say I've been the toughest. Thanks for the claps, the rainbows, the love. There's one more thing that I will love you to do, and that is to look after your health. I've seen how patients carrying extra weight were hit harder by COVID-19. That was tough. So we put together NHS support to help you to lose weight. You'll find it all at nhs.uk/betterhealth. Come on, let's do this.
Did you know that Pimlico Plumbers have an utterly fabulous 24-hour service for plumbing, heating, drains, roofing, electrics, appliances, carpentry and building? Whatever your predicament, Pimlico Plumbers can send a friendly face to your door within the hour. And just between us, their work even comes with a 12-month guarantee. They aren't just any old tradesmen, they're Pimlico Plumbers, and they're always available on 0207 928 8888 or at pimlicoplumbers.com.
More music next. If you're an Uber driver, you could be entitled to benefits that you aren't getting. Join the Uber driver's legal claim, and you could get £9,000 on average if the claim is successful. But you've got to be in it to win it. Get what you rightfully own, because you deserve better. Experienced employers need a believe Uber drivers deserve better. Sign up now. Text partners to 82727 or visit driversclaim.co.uk to find out more.
For face masks and hand sanitizers to protect against coronavirus, go to trustedppe.co.uk. Order before 4 p.m. weekdays for next day delivery.
Listen, that's a dream. Everyone has them, jingling away in the back of our minds. And most of the time, that's where dreams stay. So easy to ignore. Anything can drown them out, and everything does. But at Honda, we listen to our dreams. We get right up close. And on really good days, they become reality. From 2022, Honda's mainstream cars will only be hybrid or electric. Honda, the power of dreams.
This is LBC with Eddie Mayer. Call 0345 6060 973.
The ever-changing rules on lockdowns are causing all sorts of confusion, quite understandably. And from 4 o'clock for a whole hour, we had the LBC All-Stars here, Mike Hughes, Phil McDonald and Daniel Bevan answering questions. They're here again until 7, doing their very best. This is an immensely complex area. Boris Johnson himself was asked a question the other day at the Downing Street News Conference, and he got the answer wrong. And Matt Hancock
was also caught a bit short with his own advice. It's very difficult, but Mike, Phil and Daniel doing their very best to help. So if you have a question related to lockdown rules, easing, and travel and gatherings and all of that, use the number 0345 6060 973. Now, just before the news, we heard from Mark, who's got a complicated travel scenario. He's getting on a big boat going to Bilbao in Spain. He's not going to set foot in Spain. He's going to get in a car and he's going to drive like a demon through France. Who knows what other people are doing on holiday? That's what Mark wants to do more than anything else. He's not even stopping to pick up former King Juan Carlos and take him anywhere. He's just getting straight in the car and going to France. And Mike did his very best to field the question, and Mike, I know, has been doing diligent research. But Mike, you'll never guess who is on the phone now. No, you won't, so I won't waste your time asking. It's none other than Simon Calder, the travel editor of The Independent, who's called in. Simon, welcome.
Yes, and look, I absolutely sympathise. It is extremely difficult, and Mark's precise set of circumstances are not dealt with anywhere in the guidance or the legislation. However, the guidance does imply that the party calling absolutely right, he should not need to self-isolate. That's not perfect, you're absolutely right. Now, exactly no contact with anybody in Spain, so he just drives off the ship. Obviously make sure he's got that TV in back. It's only about 60, 70 miles to the French border, and then he can from there get out of the car and refuel and do whatever he needs to do. But that's because he wanted a so-called transit stop, which is roughly when a plane lands somewhere on the naughty list, then you would need to decide whether actually anybody gets on and mixes with the passengers on board. If he's not mixing with anybody, I think that he should be okay. But if he even does something like, stay in the beautiful border town of Hendaye on the French border and just thinks, it looks lovely over there, I'm going to wander across the Hondarabia on the Spanish side, immediately he is then subject to 2 weeks of self-isolation. And it's not actually that weird going to Bilbao. If you go to the Pyrenees, it makes quite a lot of sense than driving all the way down through France, especially if you want to reduce risk, because of course you're increasing the danger when you're driving everywhere rather than travelling by ship or indeed by air or rail.
Simon, I'm very grateful to you, but the trouble is now you've called in. I have other questions for you from listeners. Do you mind?
Please go ahead.
You didn't have any other plans. This is from Sarah, who says, I'm a frontline NHS worker. My husband is working from home. My daughter is working in central London, travelling daily. Our fiancé has been in South Africa since March, but wants to come back now and will be living with us. Does he have to self-isolate from the three of us for 2 weeks when he arrives?
No, oddly, the rule is that, of course, anybody who suddenly becomes symptomatic because somebody moved in doesn't need to. It does seem slightly odd, but no, the rules say that you need absolutely to self-isolate. You're not leaving the house. If you've got a blanket, if you have a garden, you can go out of that, but that's all. You can get out for medical treatment, going to Cornwall, heaven forbid, a funeral. But no, he would need to stay there. And of course, any of them who became remotely symptomatic, then immediately the normal protocols would arrive. But they don't need to sit there in the house with him for 2 weeks.
Simon, always grateful to you. Thanks so much for your expertise and all of that. Simon Calder, the travel editor of The Independent. Now, let's get some more text and tweets on the air. We've got this from Danny. I'm planning on booking a villa in Spain for 2 weeks. Lots of Spain questions. I will not be venturing out to shops or restaurants except to get food to eat at the villa. I will not socialise with any local people. Would I need to self-isolate still, even though I've basically self-isolated for 2 weeks in Spain? I should add I'll be driving there and back. Hey, look out for Mark. He'll be going the other way. Let's hear from Phil on this, because the rules are different in different parts of the UK. Phil McDonald.
Yes, so Spain is not on the list of countries exempt from travel in Scotland. It was added to the list after being taken off. It was only 72 hours before it went back on the list. It may sound harsh, but I'm afraid that you will have to self-isolate when you get back
boxing. I'm also grateful to the vast majority of you who are looking out for each other by wearing a face covering. Police and enforcement teams are working to ensure everyone does this. We are doing all we can to keep things safe, clean and organised. After all, we're here to help all Londoners. To find out more, search TfL Restart Plan. To the Mayor of London and TfL, every journey matters.
The Eddie Mayor Show. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850. This is LBC.
Since 4 o'clock, we've had quite a lot of success on the programme in answering complicated questions that listeners have had about COVID-19 and restrictions and the easing of restrictions. Even people who couldn't get the answers elsewhere have found them here with Mike Hughes, Phil McDonald and Daniel Bevan. Tap into their expertise. They're here till 7, 0345 6060 973, and you can text 84850. I want to tell you now a story you'll hear only on LBC. Police in West London are investigating a case of suspected arson after a Labour councillor says someone tried to firebomb his flat. LBC's correspondent Rachel Venables has the story live in Chelsea. Rachel?
Eddie, I've been inside the flat itself, which quite terrifyingly is on the top floor of this building, the Sun Estate in Chelsea. A few floors to go, really, as you climb the stairs as well. You get the acrid smell of smoke, of something burnt, and you know which flat is the one you're looking for by the fact that there's black scorch marks around the letterbox as police investigate an attempted arson. Now, it looks as though somebody has put a homemade firebomb made out of hand sanitizer through the letterbox just after 3 o'clock this afternoon at the home of Ian Henderson. He's Labour councillor for the Colville ward in Kensington and Chelsea. Now, when this happened, just a fair few hours ago, of course, this afternoon, he was out, but he tells me his partner was inside alone in the flat.
I just came home at about 3:10. Everything was nice. I said hello to my neighbours. I went home, I walked to my door, and then I heard my partner shouting from the top of the stairs, come quick, and I thought, oh God, what's she done? There's a flood, as you do. I couldn't believe it, and then as I got closer up to the top of the stairs, I could smell burning, and I got up, and it's obviously that something had been on fire and had been put out, and then I just thought she'd burnt the toast. And then we looked inside, and she said someone had put a package through her letterbox, which she thought it was Amazon. She was doing the dishes, and then the next thing, the fire alarm went off, and when she went out, there was a package had been pushed through the door and set on fire. I've got a little bit of paper on the inside of my letterbox so people can't look through, because I broke the inside, and obviously that had caught fire straight away. Anyway, she had the foresight to I don't know if she chucked a bucket of water over it or chucked it in the sink. I don't know if she chucked a bucket of water over it or chucked it in the sink. But basically there was 2 bottles of alcoholic hand sanitizer that were wrapped in a red t-shirt and set on fire and put through the door. And it's just really shocking, isn't it?
As you might have been able to hear from just the tone of his voice there, Ian Henderson, a Labour councillor, really quite visibly shaken. So particularly anything to do with fire really has a strong effect for him. Remember, he's a councillor in Kensington and Chelsea. He has done quite a bit of work campaigning for and around Grenfell. So in that case as well, it was really terrifying for him. And he also pointed out the fact that their front door, which is the place where the fire started, that is the only way out of that 5th floor flat. So thankfully, no major injuries, no injuries at all, in fact, in what could have been a very nasty case this afternoon. Police have told us they have been called out to this. They've been there all afternoon, patrolling in pairs around the block as well, trying to reassure local people. They've also been working inside the flat itself, trying to gather evidence, dusting for prints. They say that by the time they arrived, the fire had been extinguished. No injuries, as I already mentioned, and they also tell us that so far there have been no arrests.
LBC's award-winning correspondent Rachel Venables with that story. Now more questions for Mike Hughes, Phil McDonald and Daniel Bevan, the LBC All-Stars. Let's hear from Jane, who is in Market Harbour. How are you, Jane? How are you getting on?
Oh, I'm good, thank you. I'm good, yes. Fairly simple question, I think. I isolated on my own, and then